For 2 years, the Right Honourable Robinnah Nabbanja has been at the helm of steering government business both inside and outside of Parliament. This has made her the most important political cog in the wheel of a government that has slowly trudged from the COVID-19 crisis to rising public debt and man-made disasters. But what have been the moments of success for her, and what has defined her place in government thus far? Does she see success in the cabinet she steers or handles public concerns like the economy, service delivery, and security? Tonight on the spot is the Prime Minister of Uganda, the Right Honourable Robinnah Nabbanja, and she's accompanied by the Minister for Agriculture, the Honourable Tumwebaze, and the Minister for Local Government, the Honourable Raphael Magyezi. Right Honourable Prime Minister Robinnah Nabbanja, a warm welcome to you.
Present, sir.
I didn't see that coming. Honourable Tumwebaze, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Patrick.
And Honourable Raphael Magyezi, thank you so much for being here.
Patrick.
Let me a warm welcome to all of you. And I'm going to be very honest. When we promoted the show, we promoted that we're going to have you alone. I didn't know that there was going to be the foot soldiers coming with you. The generals, they can't be foot soldiers. The generals coming with you. Yes. But we are honored that all of you are here. So the government is here. And tonight, NTV is honored to host the government, because when you're here and they're here, the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Local Government, and you as the Prime Minister, is such an honor. Thank you so much. But you were appointed by the President, you are vetted by Parliament and passed, Parliament approves you. Let me ask a very general question. Right Honourable Prime Minister, what do you exactly do?
The roles of the Prime Minister are derived from Article 108 of our Constitution. And that is to coordinate government business. I coordinate all ministries, departments, and agencies. I am the lead of government business in Parliament. And you have seen me always answering questions on behalf of government. I also monitor the implementation of all government policies and programs. I am the chief monitor. I also oversee what my brothers and sisters do in cabinet, and any other role that can be given to me by the head of state.
So your docket is quite big,
of course,
and full of responsibilities. Are you also involved in making policies? Is there any policy that you think can be attributed to you, and we say this has caused fundamental change for the better for the Ugandans in the last 2 years?
For us, we work as a team. I cannot attribute policies to me. I can initiate policies, share them with the President, the Vice President, Cabinet. And once they go through Cabinet, they become a government policy. So I cannot now say it's my policy. And from Cabinet, we all go to Parliament as a team. And once a policy goes through Parliament, then it becomes a government policy.
So in the last 2 years, Madam Prime Minister, what policy that the whole team, which you head, has passed, and you think this policy is helping Ugandans?
My dear, the number. That's why I came with the Minister of Local Government, the Minister of Agriculture. Let me talk about the policy on PDM.
Parish Development Model.
Yes. Parish Development Model is our government flagship program that is geared towards helping the 39% of our population who are still stuck or still trapped in poverty. And so we want every Ugandan, one, to be productive. That's why we are promoting production, productivity, and profitability, the 3 Ps. And so that's why I expected that question by now. And then I said, now as a coordinator, Magyezi, where are you? This man may ask this question. So I brought Magyezi. We have a number of programs that we have come up with under the Ministry of Agriculture. And I thought the Honourable Tumwebaze, you know, he's a media person. I said,
not nowadays.
I am in the garden, so if you're in the garden,
he's
you can't
digging. Yes, the number of innovations and new things that have come under the Ministry of Agriculture. These days we have a policy to do with irrigation. You can see the seasons, all our weather patterns are changing.
Yes, they are.
And so we have a policy to irrigate so that we have food throughout the year. Because you remember Uganda gets rainfall for only 8 months. But again, we have come up with a policy to export. We have looked for markets, and this man here is our think tank. We'll talk about that.
Okay. Let me go to the Honourable Raphael Magyezi, because the flagship program is parish development model. You seem to suggest as government that this is going to be the game changer, bringing 39% of people who are not in the money economy to the money economy. I can imagine Uganda is an agricultural country. People are going to get into agriculture, perhaps even produce maize and all this kind of stuff. What happens if you look at, for example, people who are growing maize and growing pineapple and all this kind of stuff, they are making peanuts. It's going to take only 4 months if you give them money for them to produce. How are they going to make money when there's a bumper harvest and they have no market?
Thank you, Patrick, and good evening, viewers, once again. First, let me thank the Right Honourable Prime Minister here. And of course, through her, I thank His Excellency the President, because the parish development model is an initiative of His Excellency the President.
Yeah.
At the top level, we have the National Policy Committee, and he is the chair. He is our policy guide. He's our mentor. He's the one who says, I think time has come to make a change here or there. And he's doing it quite well. And his level of commitment to the parish development model is unheralded. It's unique. Talking about the Prime Minister, she's our coordinator. The PDM is about the whole of government approach. And I can tell you, I don't know how many meetings, but she's always calling us. She's the one coordinating us. Now, why this becomes important is you're just talking about one thing, production, and then you're talking about then what. But parish development is about the holistic uplift of the population in their households at the parish level. The first time in the history of the country, and I want to bet, I'm still looking at other countries in Africa, where you put 1 trillion shillings at the grassroots. You know, we implement the policy of decentralization, and that's what she's coordinating. It's my first time to see this kind of public expenditure going down to the grassroots, 1 trillion per year. Imagine what will happen in 5 years. A development bank at the community level of 5 trillion shillings.
Look, if you can pause there, Honourable Raphael Magyezi, the people in the parishes that are going to get money, what do you expect them to do? Largely, what do you expect them to do?
Patrick, the first question is this real? Are they getting the money? Because that's where we started from last year. It was launched last year in Feb. And some people were not believing. So no, government cannot do this. 100 million per parish? And I'm trying to see what has happened now. As I speak now, it's only about, we're remaining with about 6 parishes. The rest, we have 10,594 parishes in the country. They have all received 100 million shillings for the last financial year. They have it. It's on their account. Your question becomes really important. What are they going to do with it? What are they supposed to do with it? It is to invest in those economic activities, mainly in agriculture, which uplift a household. The beneficiary is the household. And it's expected that they sit as a family and say, suppose we get this 1 million shillings. Where can we put it? And the president emphasizes the word chura, echibalo, mathematics. Where do you put the 1 million shillings? In an economic activity within your acre, 2-3 acres of land, you feed your family, you sustain yourself, but you get a surplus to take to the market to get money.
That's the market I am asking for.
Yes.
Where is the market? Because if you go to on the streets of Kampala today, for example, on Wandega, you'll find people selling pineapple, maybe 10 pineapples, and maybe they are saying, give me 5,000, give me 10,000. And we haven't even gone into a bumper kind of production that is likely to happen. Today, just a few weeks ago, we are suffering with the maize on the Sudan border because our maize could not be accepted there. We are suffering to sell milk in Kenya, and we haven't even started bumper production. They are not accepting our sugar. We have to beg. The Africa Continental Trade Market is not accessible, it's not working. The neighboring country that is Congo cannot even trade with herself. Where do you sell?
One thing at a time. First address the production.
For sure.
Before you talk about where is the market, how much do we have? Are we in the Afro? First address the production.
To come in here. Before the East African community, which was revived after His Excellency the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni became a president, Uganda was only importing from Kenya. Do you remember that? Then after the revival of the East African community and the East African protocols that were signed by the heads of states, remember when that was being revived. So the market widened. We started with 3 countries, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. We added on Rwanda, we added on Burundi, now South Sudan, and now DRC. And we are now targeting Somalia. You are aware. All this is geared towards helping us access this market. Our traders are going to Sudan. The issues of aflatoxins can be handled, and the minister is here.
Yes.
This comes from the way we harvest our crops. This happens, the way we harvest our crops, the way we handle it, the way we prepare, the way we do everything. The acaricides we use, the pesticides we use, how and when we are supposed to do all that. So the minister is here. He will talk about and guide the country in that regard. Members, the East African community is a big market. The COMESA is a big market. Now, what we have done as government, the other day you saw me with Maktoum. Maktoum is an investor in UAE. They are yearning to have our products. But we also have that challenge of quality. We still have that challenge. And so the minister is here. I believe he's going to tell the country how prepared we are. Okay. So we are looking for the market seriously. Are you aware we are selling our beef out of the country? Are you aware we are selling our many other things, including vegetables? And so the minister is here. I expected that question. You know,
selling our beef, yes, on Bombo Road there, as you go towards Bombo, there was an abattoir that was, I think, built with the help of Egypt to supply Ugandan meat. It collapsed, Honourable Frank. It's not working. But it's not slaughtering animals there. But the Prime Minister is telling us we have a market.
Yes, we have.
But you are aware, as you go towards Bombo, there is a facility built by the Egyptians to supply meat to the Arab world. That facility has not been in use.
It will work. But let me tell you one thing. The media, you, the people of the media, you also have to stir up.
Yes.
Let me look in your face. Things. We have to stir up. Why am I saying this? You have made Uganda so open. If, say, for example, we have foot and mouth disease in one sub-county in Uganda, you categorize the whole country as having that problem. you also need to, style up, the people of the media. I'm telling you. The way you cover parliament, sometimes our people are diversionary. Remember, in the House, we have the opposition, we have the NRM, and sometimes we compete on the floor of parliament. Are we together? For you, you are failing to see what to put out. If we have foot and mouth disease in Kakumiro, for example, you categorize the whole country as having been infested with foot and mouth disease. And like that, we lose market globally. Remember, we are in a global village. Anything you put on the internet is spread across the globe.
Well, as far as
So
Honourable
you
Prime
need to also
Minister,
style
Honourable
up
Prime
people.
Minister, as far as we are concerned on this very platform, we want only to stick to the facts as we know them. And the fact is, when you talked
Isn't
about
that a fact?
when you said you are exporting meat and the
No, we are exporting. The fact is,
I was reminding
no, let me tell you.
I was
the-
reminding you of the
but-
facility
no,
that was
let-
It
built.
is the beef.
Honourable
The-
Prime
the
Minister,
fact is-
right, Honourable Prime
No,
Minister.
the fact is we are exporting beef. The other day, pearl meat, I flagged off many containers of beef going to UAE. I flagged pearl meat is exporting our beef to that country.
So, Honourable Frank Tumwebaze, Minister of Agriculture, most of the things are going to be more in your docket and the Honourable Raphael Magyezi, because the local government and agriculture, really, that's where we are best as a country. If the people of Uganda are producing their maize, and with all respect, if South Sudan is not even going to accept our maize to begin with, then we are really in a very sorry state. How did we reach that level, even though you're going to say it's private sector, lacking regulation to ensure that what we are producing is of quality, that a country like South Sudan can actually accept our maize? It's a shame.
Well, with or without South Sudan, the maize will be bought. And let's first start with first things first.
Production.
First of all, congratulate the Right Honourable Prime Minister and her government that last month your country's inflation was 6.2%. One of the factors that drive inflation in any country's headline inflation is food inflation. Food inflation is a derivative of scarcity. It's a derivative of underproduction, isn't it? Now inflation is 4.9. 4.9. The maize you are talking about, it's only 2 months back that there were calls from the media and everybody that we should put a ban on export of grain. The Kenyan trucks were even going as far as Kakumiro in the gardens. So, because of stimulating our production through PDM, through many other interventions, a kilogram of maize has now moved from 2,000 to 1,200. So that resilience of our production system, Patrick, is commendable. It means we are feeding our country, and it's objective number one of the NRM government. It means we are budgeting right and putting money in the productive sectors. So, having solved the base, you are not worried of budgeting money. The Prime Minister is not about to go on the floor to ask for money for food reserves. Though we are also planning to have our own food reserves and store it with our own grain in the future. But for now, our food security level is safe. So come to the market. First of all, let me tell you the maize in the upcoming years. Okay? We shall even look for the maize and we can't get it. Because the maize is both a food security crop and an animal feed crop. Now, look at the whole of northern Uganda, which for many years was under the insecurity. But now farms are coming up. That's why the little money the Right Honourable Prime Minister gives me and Cabinet, we are investing in mechanization. We are investing in water for production. We are not only targeting smallholder farmers under PDM, we are at the same time targeting the large-scale commercial farmers. The large-scale commercial farmers will help the people to aggregate. If you go to Charsozi in Mwenge, you will find General Soke having a big farm aggregating with silos on a private sector farmer. Now that person needs people around him. So really the outlook of our of our value chain of most tradable commodities is looking good.
I just want
Sudan, let me come to the issue of Sudan, if you allow me. You see, like you actually answered it. We liberalized our economy. We allowed the private sector to take lead, isn't it? Now, countries are becoming serious with what they import. So if 2 or 3 trucks of Frank Tumwebaze fail to meet a standard of country X, it's only a lesson. It's only a lesson for us to ensure post-harvesting is well done, to even maybe consider whether we should fully regulate every goods going out, because over-regulation also has a problem. People will think government bureaucracy is bringing in corruption, it will have a cost, but now all of these are teaching us what to do. Now come back to the beef you're talking about. Yes, there are different standards of beef. It's not because we don't have cows, Patrick, and Rt Honourable. You will find in one part of the world, they want specific meat, tender meat of young animals, isn't it? Yet for us here, our theory of Rufra is you cut the old, you slaughter the old animals. So our people are now learning. That's why feedlots are coming up. Feedlots. The National Enterprises Corporation, led by General Mujira, they are spearheading this effort. Many, many farmers are changing. If you go to Ryantonde, there's a farmer called Mujurizi. If you go to Kiruhura, there's a man called Enos Situmusime, a lawyer. They are really changing the way they rear animals, being informed by the market. Now, my traditional herdsman, my father and other people, do not know what are the requirements of market A, market B, market C. So it's upon us, government, the private sector, to teach them. So just like your mother or my mother was taught about
you just said a kilo of maize has almost lost from 2000 to 1,000.
Because we have produced more.
And by the way, you're just if you are to produce, you're only beginning.
Yes.
Okay, you're only beginning. The fruits of PDM have not yet come out.
Yes.
When they come out, then maybe the kilo of maize is going to go to 300 or even less.
No. You see, there are 2 ways to eat. There are 2 ways to eat. If the price of maize goes to 3,000, that means you have underproduced. You even have nothing to export. That means you can't even meet your own internal consumption. That's why some countries, I don't want to mention them, put a ban on grain export. The demand is overwhelming. Even when you talk of South Sudan, I don't want to mention countries, all the region people are here looking for the maize. But you see, I am not worried of the regional market. Internal market, the PDM money, Honourable Magyezi circles are giving. People are having enterprise of piggery, poultry, coffee, isn't it? Where will the animal feeds come from? When you were growing up and I was growing up, animals were not fed. Animals were fed by nature and roaming around. But here you must feed them.
Even the fish.
Yes, so there is internal demand, isn't it? And there is the regional demand. Next week, you must have read the news. We are hosting here almost 20 presidents. 4 presidents have so far, Rt Honourable, confirmed. We are discussing the future of coffee as a continent.
I want to tell him I was in Italy.
Thank you.
Yes,
Recently.
Rt Honourable. We saw that with the Pope.
Yes. FAO, you know FAO?
Yes.
We went to Rome. I didn't go to meet the Pope. The Pope was a side event. I was representing my government at a very big forum. It is called ECAM. ECAM is the European Economic Summit that talks about food security across the world. And I presented a paper, which paper we prepared as government. It was representing all that we expect as government. After presenting that paper, I saw a number of people who followed me to ask for my card. They are numerous. And so, because of that, the government of Italy organized a federation of all investors, companies, banks to meet me. You know, after delivering your speech and you see people standing up, my dear, they appreciated our speech. One, I told them that Uganda is endowed by nature. Two, I told the globe that Uganda can feed ourselves, we can feed the East African market, and somehow even African market, even the globe. Why? Because Uganda sits at the equator, and so we are blessed. Uganda is the best, has the best soils in the world, I'm telling you.
Yes, we have the arable land.
Yes, and so we can produce anything with very little input, without irrigation. I showed them the quantities we produce in terms of beef, in terms of bananas, in terms of fish, and everything. And I got numerous calls, even now. We continue to get these calls.
So,
and so investors are coming. Why? Because we have the best investment environment in this country.
Well, the truth is, Uganda has been at least self-sustaining in terms of food production.
Sure, yes.
And my worry, and the beauty is because we have more than half of maybe of East Africa's arable land, if you minus DRC. And the issue is, if you go into production, which is a good thing, you can increase on production. I give you an example, Honourable Raphael Magyezi, of how a farmer today is making losses. During COVID, we are lucky. We had COVID, but we had food. At one point in Bushenyi, a place you know best, at one time a bunch of matoke would go for 1,000.
Even today.
Even today. So you're going to give them PDM money. They're going to produce more, okay? And now the bunch of matoke can even go down, because it's not easy even to add value on matoke. There has been a presidential initiative on banana production in Bushenyi. Money has been put there, but it's limping really for people to copy and make sure they can add value to their banana production. What happens if you throw money at the parish and they go into production where you all know today matoke, which is a staple food for Ugandans, has gone to 1,000? What kind of business is that for a farmer to make money at a village? And how does a matoke farmer in Bushenyi, you know, get value from the money that you have thrown at them, thinking they are going to develop themselves? How does an onion producer in Kaberebere empower you know, a tomato producer in Kakumiro?
Patrick, I think there are two things we still need to step up. And let's be patient. Number one is adding value. I don't agree with you that we continue to sell matoke raw. Actually, in Bushenyi, people are stepping up production of wine at their farms.
Chips.
Banana chips. And people realize that actually banana from Uganda, whether it is the matoke for eating or the ripe banana as a fruit, is actually more tasty, more nutritious than some of these bananas they've had. The other challenge is information, talking of markets. For Ugandan farmers to know where that market is. I thank the president that he has now said there is a market for milk in Algeria, more than we can satisfy. Forget about what we're talking about just in the neighborhood. And also the buyer to know that this is being produced in Uganda, what the Prime Minister has done for us.
That market in Algeria has always been there. What has been the problem for us to fail to access it?
The problem has been logistics. Uganda Air Cargo, Uganda Airlines are feeding in that position. So when you saw the government of Uganda, that the Right Honourable Prime Minister coordinates, investing in
reviving.
Yes, it was deliberate. So every stage of the value chain has challenges. So sorry to cut you short.
For me, I want to believe that we are selling number one. Yes, Prime Minister.
The other day you saw our president in Russia and Serbia, and you saw him markets, open up a market, a hub, where we shall be taking our coffee, where we shall be taking our bananas. It is deliberate. We are aware that our people are going to be productive and they will produce all these products. And so we are looking for ways of creating that nuclear market which is sustainable.
You know, any European who tastes Ugandan pineapple will never look for any other. We have the best. It's organic, it's sweet, it's nutritious. I think for me, we are dealing with the basics. First, before you talk of the market, where is this product you're talking about?
Yes.
And that's what PDM addresses. Number two, where is the infrastructure to move it from the farm to the market? That's why this year, the president, on his directive, government is providing 1 billion shillings
Per district.
yes. for road maintenance to connect the farm to the market. Number three, then we talk about value addition. So these skilling the girl child, produce, you know, the little industrial hubs here and there are beginning to come up. And soon you'll be talking about cottage industries. Then the big farmers who are being promoted, we'll be talking about the large factories.
You know, Honourable Frank, in his submission earlier, said that sometimes you can see Kenyan lorries coming to deep in Ugandan villages to pick grain, which is a fact.
Yes.
But really, that's an embarrassment and a shame. Why we are exporting grain as grain. Because when you export grain, when you allow a Kenyan farmer, businessman, to come to Movende and Kamwenga and Kakumiro and change it, take grain as grain, then we have lost so many things as far as value addition is concerned.
Government has come up with a policy now. We have said, I think enough is enough. We want to do agro-processing.
Yes.
He will tell you more about this. That's why the other day the president directed me to stop all those people who are taking our timber, raw timber, and exporting it outside the countries. We are saying, please organize yourself and have an industry here if you are to operate in Uganda. Yes, we have the East African protocols. There we can go through. Because even our vehicles go up to Tanzania to get rice. You are aware. They go to Tanzania. That's why our rice here is quite cheap. So if you cannot say, yet you are in the East African protocol and community, that now the Kenyan vehicles should not go up to, our vehicles go up to Kenya and take our maize, even the Ugandan vehicles. And so we still have that protocol, which we signed, that our people should enjoy, you know, do business as brothers and sisters. So it is still not easy for us to say, stop coming here, when you are under the East African protocol.
So what has been a problem that Ugandan business people into agribusiness have not really got into the business of adding value so that they can get extra dollar?
You see, Patrick, there are things as by policy. You allow the market to sort itself. Like what Rt Hon has told you, limiting timber exports. Because we are aware, we are protecting our forest cover. So you can, like the president said, no more export of raw iron ore, or no more export of uranium. This is a resource that will be exhausted. But you see, you just said it here, that we still have quite a portion of arable land that we have not fully utilized. Why are we so liberal about grain trade? You get it? Let it be. Let our people produce more and more. Yes. If you see people can bring the lorries to your villages, it means there is a demand. Let people sell, isn't it? Maybe if we reach a point and we are sure that horizontally we cannot expand production, horizontally meaning increasing more land, then maybe you start limiting. But also our people are adding value to grain. You have the Manderas adding value, you have the Maganjo adding value, you get it? Even DRC, even Kenya, they buy this kaunga. But also, we don't have to be in the business of regulating grain. Let the market regulate itself.
Now, on the other hand, the government has come up with ways of helping our people who want to industrialize. We have money in UDB. We have money. We have money that was put in commercial banks to help our people, those who want to start businesses. Even today, we have been having a meeting of the Presidential CEOs Forum today in Jinja, where a number of CEOs have come up with policy recommendations. Which recommendations we are going to implement? We have been having this since when I came. This is another, by the way, one other policy that we have implemented very well, where all our CEOs, the company owners, the what, sit together with the president, the prime minister, and everyone, and other ministers, and we agree. They have been complaining of a high cost of electricity. We are now, we have now reduced it to 5.7 US cents per unit of peak, and 6.8 when there is a lot of peak, or when many people are using electricity. And to me, this is a directive. It is a directive that we have implemented, but in a phased manner. By the time we started, a unit of power was costing 10 US cents, but now it has reduced to 5.7. We now want to look at how our people can also now join and use cheap power for them to cook, so that we can also now have our forests saved. So we are moving in the right direction.
Right, Honourable
Did you have that information?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister. That's why we endeavored to invite you, Honourable Prime Minister,
Yes.
so that we can hear some of the things
Yes.
from your vantage position of authority and power. Right, Honourable Prime Minister and Honourable Ministers, we're going to take a break, and on the spot, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara. My guest tonight are the Right Honourable Prime Minister Robinnah Nabbanja, the Minister of Agriculture Honourable Frank Tumwebaze, and the Minister of Local Government Honourable Raphael Magyezi. Honourable Raphael, this PDM, you know, are you going to select enterprises for them, or they will select on their own? What happens if one region decides to pick maybe a similar enterprise? And, you know, don't you think if you selected enterprises and perhaps sensitize them on handling money would be better, as opposed to throwing money at a problem?
We are not throwing money. Patrick, the people of Uganda are responsible, and they know what to do. And we have agriculture extension workers there to guide them. On this particular piece of land, 2 acres, in this kind of climate and environment and soil, this is what is feasible, so that you produce enough for the family and a surplus to take to the market. What we are doing is to guide them. And the President has given that guide for a small farmer, the intensive farmer, and then for the big farmer, one who has big land. So there is no Ugandan who should remain in poverty if you take the guidance of government, that whether you have 1 acre or even half an acre, I mean, take poultry. How many acres do you need to keep 300 birds, which give you 300 eggs per day? And that is it 10 trays? 10 trays times 10,000, that's 100,000 per day. Hen will give you an egg, whether it is Christmas or Independence, or Frank has visited you or not. This is what the government does. Our role is to guide. Our role is to facilitate. We are giving you a basic capital fund to put in that enterprise. But they have also formed what they call enterprise groups. So in this particular parish, the farmers in poultry can support each other. They can also look at a model farm among themselves. They can buy inputs together. They can sell together. So it's not that we are throwing money at them, do what you want. No, we are guiding them. But we are not dictating to them, say, you Magyezi, you must do fish farming. But if the President has said, look, you are near a swampy area, on the verge of the swamp, you could do fish farming. And you know how much you can get out of a fish pond. That is the role of the extension worker.
The farmer is here.
So, but the farmer, yes,
Frank must do.
so the farmer is here. We are facing challenges of climate change.
Yes.
So the rain patterns are going to be not as usual. Really, if you don't provide the farmers with water for production, Honourable Frank, you can't expect people to produce more doing how we used to do farming like our forefathers.
We do that. Of course, government...
Where is the water for production at a larger scale?
We've been giving, putting up schemes, irrigation schemes in Atari in the east, Mubuku there, but not only the big ones, because people have shifted, the settlement patterns have shifted. It's no longer the old Mubuku, whatever. People now, if you've had the president and Minister of Finance policy, first of all, remove taxes on solar powered irrigation, so that everybody can access easily. In the Ministry of Agriculture, we are setting up mechanization centers. Chiriandongo will put one where we have heavy machinery to be gathered for people to access. They are already doing it, to have dams. Our excavators are always in Rwengo, in Kazo, in Sembabure. But of course they are not enough, and we are increasing the stock to ensure that people, because now people are no longer communal. Even in areas you think communal settlement patterns have been north and east, people are beginning to individual households. And that's even better for disease control, like for example among livestock. We no longer encourage communal watering of animals. So government, within the budget resources, we are supporting people to have water for production infrastructure.
But you know, when you talk about water for production using solar-powered irrigation machines, it's actually, you're just talking about books.
Because not books.
I mean,
No,
go
I
to
want you to tell him how many. No,
I have seen solar-powered irrigation systems,
let him
but
tell
for
you.
a very few people,
No, let him tell you
not
where.
for the majority of farmers, and yet climate change will hit the majority of farmers. Everybody will be
depending on your enterprise, on the scale of your production, that the irrigation technology you will need will be determined by the size of your production. If you have an acre of onion, an acre or half an acre, you can as well do drip irrigation.
Using this bottle.
Yes, you can even harvest water from your roof.
Yes.
But if you have 25 acres of coffee, like my friend I have just spoken to in Mufunjo, you get it, for Buchenjojo, you definitely need a high-powered system of irrigation. And these schemes are there. Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Water, jointly working together, we've been giving them to people or groups to use. And by the way, not every crop requires irrigation. Beans, 2 months, we are still lucky, despite the weather patterns, they will be up. So we have factored in the, you asked him a question about the enterprise selection. Different ecological zones of the country have been zoned. We will tell people what to grow. They know. The extension workers, the agriculture production coordinators are telling the people. And the people already know, they are building from their knowledge. Apart from new areas like the north, where coffee, for example, is emerging.
And tea.
Do you know why it was not in the north? Not because the soil couldn't support. But colonialism in the north conditioned the people to grow tobacco and cotton. Not that coffee couldn't grow, but the interest of the colonial leaders was that. So people grew up knowing, for us, we are for tobacco, we are for cotton. But I can tell you, Robusta is doing miracles in the north.
Tea and zombie.
Yes, and with the vast land, that one is coming up. So where a new crop comes up, we guide people. Traditionally, the knowledge the people have, we are building it up. And these technologies, we will keep giving them. When I was growing up, me and you, did you ever know that they are sharers of maize? We use it to beating maize, poo, and millet on the floor. But they are now simple machines of 3 million. The Right Honourable Prime Minister has been pushing for this availability of these massively. Simple things, put in maize cobs, you get your grain. Okay? So these technologies are just a number of them.
I want you to remind him about our narrow initiatives.
Yes, yes, yes.
Where they are coming up with an initiative, you spray your crop, even if the dry season comes, it will continue until you harvest it.
So narrow, as the Right Honourable says, maybe we shall have time and be here. Narrow has innovated even a solution for the aflatoxins. It's called AfroSave. You broadcast it in the garden because the mycotoxins are from the soil. So you broadcast it before you plant. So all these initiatives are...
And the harvest remains organic.
Yes.
I will bring you here scientists and they will give you how it works.
The president today was telling our scientists
Yes.
that the biotechnology that are in other parts of the country should be introduced here. And indeed, I saw that technology you were talking about in Japan. In Japan.
So now that we are, I think Honourable Frank Tumwebaze would even be fighting for bigger budget in agriculture, considering that agriculture is where everybody is. Looking at how much Right Honourable Prime Minister they are putting in agriculture, and the people who are involved, the population that's involved in agriculture, there's such a big mismatch. I've always wondered why that you put so little, yet that is where everybody is. And when you look at what agriculture contributes to GDP, it's smaller, yet the biggest percentage of the population is in that sector. It baffles me. Why not put more where many people are?
When you look at PDM, though it is not housed under the Ministry of Agriculture, that's agriculture.
1
We are supporting. Yes, that 1 trillion is going to boost agriculture. So you cannot claim that agriculture has not been supported enough. Yes, we would have supported agriculture more, but we have been prioritizing, as you know. We started with the construction of roads. Remember where we were, the number of kilometers of roads we had. So we prioritized the roads, put a lot of money, and now we can boast of having tarmac roads from north to south, east to west. Isn't that true?
But not in Kampala, on Honourable Prime
Kampala, we are working on your potholes. I know you want to talk about potholes.
And Prime Minister, the roads also support agriculture.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, of course.
Then now, we also prioritized electricity. You cannot talk about industrialization and value addition without electricity. That's why much of the money was put to construct Karuma. Have you been to Karuma?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you need to go to Karuma. And you see how some of our leaders have sacrificed for this
but why is
country.
it so behind schedule by so many years?
It is behind schedule because of a number of things. A number of things. One, remember our people, the bad people, the way they destroyed our pylons. Do you remember? By now, we would have Karuma power on the grid. But people cut wires. I don't know how many kilometers. You are aware. Sabotage. Those are economic saboteurs. That's why we are saying they should be handled, those saboteurs, like terrorists.
Honourable Raphael Magyezi, now that the Right Honourable Prime Minister has brought in the issue of Karuma, we are building 600 megawatts of power at a cost of almost $2 billion. The Ethiopians are building 6,000 megawatts at a cost of $5 billion or $4 billion. Why is our power, why are our government projects so expensive, so hugely expensive? Such an exorbitant fee.
No, Uganda, our policy on land belongs to people.
Yeah.
Land belongs to people.
Compensation.
So we compensate people. Sometimes exorbitantly, you know our policy. We are going to implement that law if we amend it. That law, you know what I'm talking about.
So the government projects become very expensive
Because
on the account of land compensation?
Yes, and the delays.
And the delays.
The procurement processes and so on. It's a different situation. Let's appreciate what
In
has been
Ethiopia, land belongs to government. But here, land belongs to the people.
You know, your ministers are saying there's delays in procurement and all that kind of stuff, but Right Honourable Prime Minister, that is right within your docket. Why do you accept delays to take long? Why can't that be cleaned up?
But you see, to help the Right Honourable, the delays are partly due. You must acquire land. You must pay for the land. The Constitution says prior prompt compensation before you take over. That's part of the delays. When there was a move here to reform You remember the riots in Parliament. So democracy, governance, is
As a cost.
as a cost, and you have to continuously negotiate with the stakeholders. So that's why our president did not take the other bad way of the state has it all. You have to negotiate with people. So then the projects come in, but also our location as a country, we are unlocked. The people who come in, bring in the machinery, the cost is a little bit high. You get it? And it's not our money anyway. Some of the big projects you have to borrow. Borrowing has a cost. So it's a combination of many factors.
But sometimes, Rt Hon Prime Minister, a government project begins, and midway, it cannot continue because you have no access over the land. And I'm wondering, how do you even start the project? Start road construction, for example, and you have no right of way. I mean, you should have compensated the people first. And
That
then you
is
continue.
why I've told you, sometimes the delays are caused by our people. For example, I can give you an example of a road from Tirinyi to Palisa. The Arab contractors completed from Tirinyi to Kamonkoli, Tirinyi to Kumi, Tirinyi to a place called Buseta. And then there was a rich man who said the money they are given him is not enough. That's why the president has always agitated. Can we have a law to provide for compulsory acquisition? And there has always been a war in Parliament. Do you remember?
Because we fear it can be abused.
Yeah, Prime Minister, you remember even on the Entebbe Expressway here,
Yes.
somebody with a rock and stuck onto his rock. It took big time, and we are losing in terms of the...
Yeah, but the question to you, Honourable Ministers, is why don't you sort that issue so that when you start a road, you go
it's
first?
legal.
Because
No, we can only sort that
the road,
issue with a law.
It's illegal.
when the earth movers begin and they reach that rock and they are not moving, you'll be paying them every day for those machines, even if
Of course,
they're not
that's
working.
why we're expensive.
So Patrick, you are supporting
Which means you are
compulsory
supporting
acquisition.
the review of our land law.
Yeah.
I'm only saying you sort out the issue of somebody who has a complaint over
That
the land
is why
before you start construction. so
sometimes
that
these
you do
people
not-
are in court, and the court processes are expensive, and sometimes they take a lot of time. And that's why we have always agitated, and the president has always been clear. Can we please have this law amended? Sometimes you see people up in arms.
I just want to, Rt Hon Prime Minister, to look into here in Kampala. There's a high degree of impunity in Uganda. People do what they want. When you drive on the streets of Kampala, your ministers, some of them have sirens, some of them have sharpshooters, and they push us on the road, and it is anarchy. And we're wondering, how have we reached this level, Rt Hon Prime Minister, that people no longer even regard the traffic rules, leave alone that our roads, especially in Kampala, are pathetic?
People with sirens are known. You will know them. I'm one of them. I've never seen my people push people. They are provided for by virtue of my office.
That is not in dispute, Right Honourable Prime Minister,
Yes.
because you need that. But we're talking about other people, not even in the government, by the way. They
Sometimes
could even,
I
they
by
could
the way,
even be people who have made it and have some little money, and they have bought, they can manage to buy an impale on it. They'll also push
I
us
think-
away on the road.
No, I think this is an issue of enforcement. We have had a number of meetings with Ministry of Internal Affairs, police, even in Parliament. To some extent, I believe it has reduced. To some extent. Hasn't it?
I don't know.
It's
I
a
don't
question of indiscipline by all road users. Whether it's, I mean, are the ministers using borders? You see them crossing the traffic light as if...
I agree, there's a discipline. I
Yeah,
agree,
it's a
there's anarchy.
discipline by
And I'm
all of
asking,
us.
as if there's no government, as if there's no order. And I'm wondering, why have we reached this level?
You see, Patrick, development, progress has a
Democracy.
cost of all of those. When you hear of urban terrorism, when you hear of increasing city crimes, all of these come not with slums or small cities. They come with growing cities, isn't it? I used to be a regular visitor on this show. When I was a minister for Kampala, regular person here, with more combative shows with you. We would come with our sleeves rolled, fighting with border borders with Jennifer Musisi, chasing them from the city.
The taxis.
You are fighting with the leaders. You get it? You are being called heartless, massless. You get the point? So, developing comes with a balance of many interests. Why are people fighting on the road and each one is squeezing the other? The roads are narrow. You have development that has come up not so much controlled. When we attempted to remove Katanga and develop Kasokoso, the riots were over Kampala here. Irresponsible politicking all over. So maybe the challenge you are telling us, and which I pick, is let's be more blunt, let's be more less listening, go for it at whatever cost of whatever right.
By the way, members.
But if you're going
let me add on his point.
Yes.
Members, the other day when they were giving us a report, a police report on accidents, which made us go to the extent of having a meeting with the speaker and many others. Are you aware that 80% of the accidents that happen in Kampala are border accidents?
Yes.
If you go to Mulago and see the number of people who are amputated, they're dead, all of them, most of them are by border cyclists. And so I think as government, we have to come up with a solution. You are right. We must come up with a solution.
So I can imagine.
It's not only government. These local authorities, down to the LOC1, down to LOC3, down to, we need traffic lights.
The local authorities are answerable to us.
Yes,
and so we must initiate a policy that will stop that
If
anarchy.
you go on Kampala Road today, I know it's a local administration, you have the Lord Mayor and other people are supposed to be doing that job.
Yes.
But you are cabinet minister and she's the prime minister of our country. Kampala Road right now is in darkness. There are no street lights. For heaven's sake, from Boyogerere to Busega, our only northern, the northern bypass, is in darkness. Even the Entebbe Express. And yet, we seem to have a lot of power, electricity, and all that kind of stuff. How come we live in this kind of situation? Because it's very dangerous to drive on the northern bypass at night. I don't know whether you understand. I don't know whether you feel it the way how we feel it.
You see, Patrick, until we reach a point, government is not from heaven. Leaders are from the people they lead, isn't it? We don't have lights on Entebbe Express because Uganda never put them there. They were put there.
And they stole them.
My son and your son came at night and stole them. Okay? So it's a continuous struggle. And while that one is happening, trying to prove ourselves how uncultured we are as a population, government continues to work. It is giving you a flyover at Mukwano. The same flyover goes over the former electoral commission. We are trying to improve transport in the city. The President and the Rt Hon Prime Minister in Kampala are discussing about mass transport systems, trains and all that. The plans continue despite the indiscipline.
No, today I received a report from the Attorney General. We are going to have a big company from UAE to manage the transport of Kampala, One Mobility. We are going to have an MOU with them so they can run the massive transport, but also support our local initiatives. They are going to buy all those buses from Kira Motors, where we had the function today. To me, we are moving steadily. To me, and I believe you can also see this. You know where we came from, 1986. You know where we are now, and I believe you know where we are going.
Well, my Great Honourable Prime Minister, where we ought to be should be the. I know where we are, but is this where we ought to be? Is this where we ought to be?
Why are you not optimistic, Patrick? You have secured.
Because there's a record to show
Wait a minute.
that in 37 years you were here, but is this where we're supposed to be?
You have secured your country. You are not importing food to feed your population. Okay?
Just
You
a
have
few months
managed.
back, people are dying of hunger in Karamoja.
It's okay.
It's part of Uganda.
Karamoja is the same arid part of this country.
Yeah, but if we have
Listen,
plenty here, why do our brothers have to die in
It was
Karamoja?
controlled. Karamoja has one
That
season.
is, no, that is under my ministry.
Yes, yes.
It's under the office of the Prime Minister. It is true we had problems in Karamoja, but the office of the Prime Minister, through the Department of Disaster Preparedness, has provided the food for Karamoja year in, year out. And we said it's not sustainable. Minister of Agriculture, can you provide dams? Because it does not rain in Karamoja the way it rains here. I believe those people don't also want to feed on posho. They also want to, you know, to feed themselves. But they are unable. Why? Because of the insecurity. You know what happens there? They cannot go to the gardens. Always they will kill them. And so the government of Uganda is handling the insecurity problem. That's why General Salim Saleh is there. That's why we have deployed a number of army. That's why we are working on security roads. Then two, the president directed this money you see here. Please, and the Minister of Water, provide water for production. And a number of dams are being constructed. I can remember one where I know, La Conyen. It is in Moroto. I can remember one.
Okobebe.
Yes. Now, government has also gone ahead to say, no, Karamoja needs also to develop so that their people can get employment. We are giving them a factory. The president teamed up with an investor. We are putting a factory, I'm forgetting the place, but I think with time it will come. Now, that factory is going to be in Moroto. And they are going to add value to, and produce cement. Kirinka, you know, we import Kirinka in order for us to produce cement. So that place is also going to be developed, I'm telling you.
Meanwhile, their children are on the streets of Kampala. They're increasing in number. That is a scar on the conscience of our nation.
Even Washington, D.C. High Street, where the main street, you have homeless people.
I was in Italy. I saw them begging me.
You get the point.
So what is
So,
that
No, I
supposed to
saw
mean,
them
Francis?
begging me.
What is that supposed to mean?
Challenges are there.
That
That's
two wrongs don't make it right.
Well, it's not about wrongs. It's about challenges for every economy. Yes, you have street kids, isn't it? But that does not mean that you cannot produce food.
No, you were in Kampala here.
Yes.
We have also taken note of the following, that there are people, most of them from that
Yeah.
Benefit
Napas,
Trade, yes.
they are trading in our children. And we have started.
But you are the right Prime Minister.
Yes. Yes, that's why I'm
Prime Minister.
If I was not a right honourable Prime Minister, I would not have this information.
Yes.
I'm giving you information on what we know. There are
And
people.
what are you doing about it?
Yes, we are enforcing.
PDM is taking them back to the village.
We are enforcing. We are even getting them
Yes.
under Mama,
Yes.
the Minister of Education,
Yes.
and putting them to a certain place where we are rehabilitating them, we are educating them, and we are giving them support in terms of food. And also rehabilitating them and taking them back to their families. You know, some of their parents sometimes do not know where their children have gone.
Right, Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Ministers, we're going to take a break, and when we come back in our last segment of this discussion, I'm going to open our social media platform so that you too can be a part of this discussion. You send your question or your comment, make it very simple, so that please also, if you disagree with my guest, that's okay, but disagree with respect. We'll be right back. My name is Patrick Kamara, and now we have reached that moment when you also have to have your say. And my guests are the Right Honourable Prime Minister of Uganda, Robinnah Nabbanja, the Minister of Agriculture, Frank Tumwebaze, and the Minister of Local Government, Raphael Magyezi. So I'll be reading your comments and questions. They are coming in now. Please, Patrick, remind dear Prime Minister that a single onion costs 1,000 shillings not only in Nakasero, but also deep down in the villages. And also, Mbazira Ezekiel, the government is working on possible ways to separate its citizens apart. Recently, government increased salaries for science teachers, which had negative working atmosphere between teachers. This is likely to be repeated in another sector and an influential sector. In my own opinion, if financial affairs are not clearly handled by government, conflicts and coup d'etats are bound to occur. Almighty God, forgive those who decide on such unconstructive strategies. For God and my country, this is Mbazalire Ezekiel Amoti. Thank you so much, Ezekiel. Good evening, Prime Minister. Please let us know why government has allowed foreigners to dominate this country's economy. Banks, manufacturing, telecom, large-scale farming, exports, etc. are all led by foreigners. Locals, the ones we call rich, have been left in building apartments, importation of items downtown, and maybe running schools. Bubu is basically for foreigners that work in Uganda. Is this intentional from government? If not, what remedies are in place to change this? Imran in Kansanga. Thank you so much, Imran. And let me just maybe pick 3 more, then you can respond to them at once. Good evening. This is Sembusi Ivan from Kalirwe. Inform all the invited leaders the following ways. Right Honourable Prime Minister, I start by thanking you for your great work you have rendered to our motherland, Uganda. But I also want you to tell His Excellency the President that currently now Uganda is experiencing insecurity post-COVID results, land evictions, and hardship in the economy. Honourable Raphael Magyezi, for you, I want you to know that do not know that it became a mountain or a very hard for Ugandans whom His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni planned to get that PDM money. And lastly, you can't eradicate poverty by giving out money, let alone government constructing many industries in every region. I think your question wasn't very clear there. To Honourable Frank Tumwebaze, under your ministry, please first clearly regulate fishermen and farmers in rural areas and allow to market our produce by introducing MAIF local producers products exhibition countrywide and fight cattle rustlers. Maybe if you could just go for those first, and then I'll pick another group of questions, set of questions. Right Honourable Prime Minister.
So question number 1, repeat it for me.
The question number 1 was saying that there's a problem of insecurity in the country. You need to deal with that. Please, Patrick, remind the Prime Minister that a single onion, that was question number 1, a single onion costs 1,000 shillings, not only in Nakasero, but also deep down in the villages. I also didn't understand that question very well.
Yes, but let me inform the country that we have always been guided by the President that we have what they call intensive farming. We need to identify enterprises that can earn somebody a living by high profits. For example, an acre of onions, and this is from the statistics of the Ministry of Agriculture. From an acre of onions, you can very well ably produce 50 bags of onions if you look after your gardens very well. And now today, a bag of onion can cost between 300 to 350, and that's why one piece it goes at 1,000. And so we are guiding our farmers, and this can be done, or you can harvest in just 2 months. So we are guiding our farmers to go for high value crops like onions. And if we get many farmers in onion production,
the price will come down.
The price will come down. And secondly, we shall also use, feed the outside world, because onions are used everywhere. Then the other question is
on the science teachers paid more than the arts
salary
and
disparities.
Salary disparities. Yes.
Members, you realize that this came after COVID. During the COVID period, we all realized that we had no alternative. You could not be, even if you had a lot of money, you saw some of our relatives and big people in government dying in Mulago. And we saw that some people were following some of our doctors, our own doctors, in Nairobi, Jakaya Kikwete Hospital in Tanzania, and many other places. And so government came up with a strategy to pay scientists so that those highly trained scientists can stay in the country and serve us. They are going out of the country because of low pay. And so, as a cabinet, we agreed, together with Parliament, that let us start paying our people, but let us start with scientists, because we don't have enough money. In a phased manner. From scientists, now we focused on army. And from army, we are also going to focus on police. Like that, until everybody receives a tangible salary.
Okay.
But as we speak now, this was done in good faith. I want members of the community to appreciate that whether you had money or not during the COVID period, our doctors put their life online. When we did lockdown, the doctors did not go for lockdown. They remained working.
Yes.
There are some sectors which are like a sweetener, which, you know, facilitate all of us. So we are starting somewhere, and we are saying this may not augur well to other sectors, but all of us, in one way or the other, got treatment from those people. And some of them, by the way, lost their lives.
Okay. Let me go back to the other questions again, maybe to refresh your mind that were meant for the Honourable Raphael Magyezi and Honourable Frank. The issue of exhibitions, so that they can learn more, the farmers, I think that's what somebody was trying to tell us.
That's welcome, Patrick. We partner with the Uganda National Farmers Federation. We've been having the main exhibition in Jinja, but of course the whole country can't come to Jinja. So we'll be working with the Farmers Federation to have regional barazas, regional expos in Mbale, in Gulu, in Mbarara. And many farmers come to these expos. What do they find there? They find their technologies displayed from different vendors or companies. They find their seed companies. So I agree with him, and we will continue to scale up or make these expos more available in different districts, working with the farmer networks and cooperatives.
I want to add, or to inform you, but I know you know, that the office of the Prime Minister was guided by the head president, and he gave us 5 guiding principles, and one of them are these expos. So on 18th of this month, we are going to be in Mityana at a place called Kiryocha. Then on 19th, we shall be in Mubende at the district headquarters, and then we shall also be in Kasanda on the same day. We shall also go to Chankwanzi and Chiboga for Mubende, the greater Mubende. We call it Mubende sub-region. And so we are moving district by district. After that, we shall go to Ruwero, the Ministry of Agriculture, together with the Office of the Prime Minister, and many other stakeholders. You know, farmers have been struggling on their own. Some of them have been buying inputs, fake inputs. So we are partnering with the private sector, to the importers, the manufacturers, and many others, to take those inputs to those areas and also give them information, the new technologies, like he has said. And so I want to mobilize farmers and all stakeholders, the leaders. We shall have a leaders meeting in Mityana on Saturday and Mubende. Mityana at 10, and then Mubende at 2 on Saturday. Then on Sunday we shall have a meeting of all leaders in Chankwanzi at 10, and then Chiboga at 2. So we the leaders of this country, myself, you know, you were not there when we were planning this. You had sent your brother Chakuraga, and I have not really briefed you properly. So we are moving. Okay. I think he has a point.
All right. Honourable Raphael, somebody was saying that you, instead of putting money in the PDM, that maybe if industries were built in the regions that could employ more people and cause a transformation. What do you tell him?
Thank you very much, and thanks, listeners and viewers. There were three things which I've heard. One, it is hard to access the PDM money. Number two, giving out people money will not fight poverty, will not end poverty. Number three, instead, government should prioritize the construction of industries. First of all, PDM money is there, and it is at your parish. It is with the circle of your parish, the saving and credit organization, led by people whom you have selected yourselves. This money is available, and it will not come back to government. It is actually building a little bank there at the parish. Now, how do you access it? You need to be a resident of the parish. You need to apply to the circle. You need to fill a loan agreement with them. You need to attend the training. You need also to select an enterprise which will actually help you to transit from being in subsistence to being in the money economy. Using calculation, you are able to make profit in that enterprise. Now, once you do that, you just march to your circle, fill the form, sign the agreement, and you'll get the money. Previously, it was difficult because the money was not yet there. But as I speak now, I've assured you that every parish in the country has its 100 million for this last financial year. And this money will keep growing. This financial year, we're going to add another 100 million per parish. And the following year, another 100 million per parish. This is your money. Access it. It is at the parish level. Will it help to fight poverty, giving people money? I think the challenge is not giving out money. The challenge is when you access credit at a difficult interest rate or difficult terms. And I know that the people who will complain are the money lenders who have been making money out of our people. If it were not necessary, why were you running to the money lenders? Now we are giving you the money, and under PDM, the money is available to you for a whole 2 years before you pay back. You can imagine which other facility will give you that kind of condition. Secondly, you are paying only 6% per annum. This is the minimum, the lowest interest rate you'll find in any credit facility. Thirdly, you negotiate with your circle. Do you pay in lump sum? Do you pay in installments? So that we give you 12 months from when you start paying back to finish. So it is available now. All right. Should we put the money in industries?
I wanted to add something on that point. Members, we have to start somewhere.
Yes.
You put up industries when you don't have the products. You cannot. Absolutely. So you have to start with the products. We need to produce these products. And then set up industries to add value. Now, put up industries to do what?
It's part of PDM to ensure that we have processing facilities to add value. But as the Prime Minister says, you are adding value to what? And the government has put up a big effort to attract investors putting up industries. So
all right.
We are on the right track.
All right, thank you, Honourable Raphael. Somebody says, good evening, Patrick. Mine is a request to Honourable Frank Tumwebaze. Can the tractors be released sooner? The plowing season has started and we are running late. We appreciate the great government support to the farmers. Thank you. Gloria, farmer in Gomba district.
Well, we've been releasing them as we get capacity. I'm sure in Gomba there is some tractor we put there through some other cooperative called Chahi. The leaders there know Chahi cooperative. So if you're near there, you could get support from it. But as we get more, we'll roll them out. Yes. Okay, and
earlier, Right Honourable Prime Minister, there's an issue of insecurity in the country. Your response to that? Pockets of...
I can say that this country doesn't have insecurity. I don't know what he meant. Maybe in some parts.
Crime just.
Maybe some, these crimes.
Thefts.
Maybe thefts. There is no insecurity in this country. That's why Uganda is the best investment destination. That's why I told you when I was in Italy, the number of people that followed me, and yet there were many African presidents. I am telling you, they followed me to the extent that I met the confederation of all industry, of all investors and other banks in the world in Italy. Uganda is one of the best investment area. Why? Because of security, because of skilled labor, and because of available power, which is now becoming a little cheaper.
And somebody says, can the government delegation tell the dairy farmer that is selling a liter of milk at 500 shillings in Zimbabwe due to restrictions to Kenyan market, what efforts are being made to address this Kenya market stalemate? And what became of Algeria milk market that was being explored? Bernard from Rwemiyaga.
The Algerian market is on course. The trade structure in Algeria is government controlled. It's not as liberalized as it is here. So the milk exporting companies in Uganda are currently undergoing a tender process. They have filled in the documents. So we hope sooner or later that route will ease. But also we hope our brothers in Kenya will be able to sort their internal issues which are affecting our trade. And many other markets are being explored. Like I told you, DRC will take our milk. And it's temporary, because the same people who talk of 500 shillings when the milk is at 1,000, they never question where the money has come from. That should not discourage them. In the meantime, let's think of, if you have a farm, instead of only relying on milk, it doesn't do harm if you can also have poultry, have a few coffee acres, such that if the income from milk is temporarily compromised or disturbed by a number of market factors, you have another alternative source of income.
I'm going to pick only one more comment or question from the viewers tonight. I understand there are very many. Somebody says, ask the Prime Minister the reason as to why most of the roads going to landing sites are not tarmacked. Yet they get a lot of taxes on fish, fuel that is used by boat engines and many others. The roads he's interested in are Kigungu, Kasenyi, Kiyindi, and Senyi.
Like I told you, we are working on roads in a phased manner. Those roads will also be worked on.
Okay. I want to thank you so much. We're coming to the end of tonight's edition of On the Spot. I'm going to give you, each one of you, an opportunity to make your concluding remarks. Let me begin with you, the Honourable Raphael. Magyezi, what's going to be your parting shot?
Thank you very much. Just to remind our listeners and viewers that the term of office for the local council chairpersons 1, 2 and their councils has been extended for the next 6 months with effect from 10th July. So you are safely in office. Those who had returned their stamps to the town clerks, please pick them, go back and do your work. And then finally, just thank the Prime Minister for delegating me this evening to chair the meeting between Amorata and the Nakasongora leaders. We've resolved these matters, and tomorrow we'll address a press conference together with your members of parliament, chairpersons, and RDCs. Let's stay peaceful. Neighboriness requires that we observe peaceful coexistence.
Thank you very much. Honourable Frank Tumwebaze, what's going to be your concluding remark?
Just to give a word of hope, with our food security situation in the country under control, with our young population hardworking, with good prospects of our oil, we've seen the rigs go down, Kingfisher and Tirenga. The future of our country is well secured, as long as you have the right people in command, and as long as you have the right policies. Because remember, right policies stimulate development. Wrong ones stifle development. Having inflation under control is not by accident. It's because of good monetary and fiscal policies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right Honourable Prime Minister, your concluding remark tonight.
Yes, I want to thank God for this opportunity, and thank you and NTV for giving us this opportunity. I want to inform Ugandans that Uganda is lucky. God gave us the best land in the world. God also blessed us with the best leader. That is Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, a person who thinks of serving humanity in this country. And so for us, we are always guided by the president. These things you see us do and talk about have an initiator. We are implementing a manifesto, a 5-year manifesto. And I request that you support government to serve you. This is an able government. We are lucky. in NRM government. We are a family. We have internal controls, and we know how to manage our issues, unlike others, like you see in other parties. I don't want to talk about those ones. You can imagine them bickering over very little money. Suppose you hand them a government. You can imagine the anarchy. They are very disorganized. They are eating each other because of iPod money. Now give those people a chance and you see the anarchy. So NRM is the best answer to the problems of Uganda. Then lastly, I want to send greetings to my people of Kakumiro. I cannot forget them.
We're all your people.
Kakumiro first. You saw me after Kakumiro people had brought me here. So Kakumiro people, I send you greetings, and all Ugandans. For me, as a Prime Minister, I operate an open door policy. That's why you see many people coming to the office of the Prime Minister. We decided, together with these ministers, you see, to take this government closer to the people. And that's why you see us, you know, mostly moving across the country to see what affects our people, to come up with solutions and solve those problems that affect our people. For God and my country.
Right.
Blessings from the Pope.
Oh, yes. Right, Honourable Prime Minister and Honourable Ministers, I want to thank you so much for the time you've given us, for having added value to our platform, for having given us all the time, and for having honoured our invitation. I want also to echo the words of the Prime Minister that we have a good country, we have great people, and I think we have to be hopeful we can make it as a country. I want to thank you who has been viewing this program for the privilege of your company. Good night and God bless Uganda.
Thank you.